Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Jenni Kulzer, who'll be sitting in for Matt Watson today. Hi, Jenni.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Jenni with an I should say.
Jenni with an I. It's important, the I.
So, we're going to talk about some stuff today, and we literally kicked Watson out because we're going to talk about marketing. And he knows a lot about marketing, but
It bores him.
Well, yeah, because he's not like a sales and marketing guy at heart, and, I am, or gal. He's not a sales and marketing person at heart. He's all right at it.
See, I feel like he needs to be here so I can convince him of its importance.
Yeah, he understands the importance of it. It's understanding the importance of it and having an interest in it.
Two different things.
Different.
Yeah.
So this is actually right in my wheelhouse. This is stuff I love to talk about. And to introduce you to our friends and followers, you are the CEO of Cherry Marketing Agency.
That is correct.
And for those of you that are listening, because we love you to have an interactive experience, you can go to cherryredworld.com.
That's right.
There you go.
Come see a picture of me and the stuff we do. And lots of fun stuff.
We turned the Startup Hustle sign red to go with cherry everything. So we're going to get into a lot of stuff. But today, look, I always talk about be brilliant on the basics. Sometimes people get into a long history of doing whatever they do, and they're like, oh yeah, I know all this and I know all that. I don't think you can ever really revisit the basics.
Yeah.
Like the basic stuff. Like in the end, if you start to suck at the basics, then nothing else really matters. So, we're in this golden age of like all this crazy AI, machine learning, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear about your A/B comparison algorithms and whatever, because if you're not good on the most basic stuff,
that's right.
The rest is pointless.
That's right.
So we're here to help startups. We're here to help business. And really what we want to do is we want to help you sell more and spend less. So you know a couple things about this, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
So we focus on launching businesses and small businesses. And we do that because there was this gap where there was nobody really helping people just get off on the right foot, like in the very, very beginning when their marketing dollars are low, or maybe they have none and they're trying to launch a new business. So we focus a lot on building the foundation, like you were just talking about, and we do that using the marketing tackle box, which we'll get to here in a second. But we also do what we call a marketing makeover, and that is after maybe you've been in business 3 or 4 years and you just threw it together and it went great and you've got, lots of clients. But now you have to kind of look back and go, oh, crap, I don't have a friggin' website. My logo doesn't say anything about me. My tagline is something that's super simplistic and, doesn't tell a story. And, you kind of got to go back to ground one.
And sometimes things just change.
Right.
Things literally just change. That happens a lot.
Right.
And sometimes the things that you set up in the beginning of starting a business, you do hastily, and you do so in a way that not knowing, obviously didn't know then what you know now. Couple that with things changing, maybe the definition of your business is a little bit different, and a lot of this, and there's so many things out there. So you talk about a tackle box, and I think that's a really good analogy, because I often compare sales and marketing to fishing.
Right.
Throw a lot of lines out in the sea, see what bites, right?
Right, but it's got to be in the right spot. It's got to be with the right tools.
True.
And my dad and my grandfather, my great-grandfather were all fishermen, and they would say, Jen, you can't catch anything if you don't have the right, you're not using the right flicker shad or whatever. And so
I don't even know what that means. Man, I'm glad we marked this explicit. Man.
So when I was putting together my program, I thought, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense to use a tackle box because, essentially I've never met a client that was like, oh no, I don't want any more clients.
Well, the purpose of a tackle box is to carry all the different things you need and to have them readily and easily available on hand at the time that you need them.
That's right.
Some of them are staples. Now, even though you made the mistake earlier of handing me your list. So, and I'm going to say that so many of the things that are on here are now, and don't get mad at me.
I won't.
These aren't necessarily like proprietary things, but agencies like Jenni's and people like Jenni are good at helping you not miss these things. Make sure they're in your tackle box.
Yeah.
And all right, so I'm fully immersed in this world of technology, and it's funny because I'm different. I'm not like I guess I'm a technologist, but I'm not, because I'm a salesperson. I'm a promoter. Most people say that. They say, "Oh, you're a promoter. You're great at promoting Full Scale, or the Startup Hustle podcast, or stuff like that." So what do you do? And I say, "Man, what you mentioned about starting, I am a huge grassroots marketer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really spend any money on ads.
Right.
I really don't. Now, we spend some money on some other stuff but I don't really spend a whole lot of money on ads, and that baffles some people because they're spending like tens of thousands of dollars, like this massive customer acquisition cost. And the thing is like, and some of them I talk to, and they're saying, well, what do you think I should do? So I'll give you an example. So for those of you listening to Startup Hustle, first off, thank you. Second off, we have talking tons of downloads, and it's not, and until about a month ago, we had never bought an ad. And then we just did some simple Instagram ads, not even for a whole lot. But in order to get the podcast started in December of 2017, I joined a bunch of entrepreneur groups all over the world, and I just posted a link to our first 5 episodes in. That alone right there gave us enough traction to build a listening base. And that didn't cost me anything.
Right.
It's free.
Isn't that amazing?
I just had to take a little bit of my time, and I didn't spam it, and I went in with a very constructive, frame of reference, and I said, hey, I'd love to have your feedback.
Yeah.
But that was free. And there's literally like a whole world of free.
Totally. Yeah. And we work in that world, especially when we work with, new clients. And when it comes to the tackle box, we look at all these things, and like you said, it's basic. It's what you have to have. But we look at it as, okay, these are all opportunities to be creative and cost efficient at the same time. Or
maybe take a mild dose of creativity and put a little effort on top of it.
Right. Well, you're a bootstrapper, right? Isn't that how you got your start?
Yeah. Really, in the end, I still am. It's just like, because I think some of this stuff is just, it's a very connected world out there. There's people that are listening or watching and doing different stuff, but at the same time, you have to come proper, because if you don't, you're just yawn. You're a noise that people or you get blocked or unfollowed, or no one gives a shit, just because you gotta have something to say. So anyway, let's go fishing.
Okay, sweet.
All right,
let's do it.
So I see here in the tackle box that you have 4 different things, and these are color coded. So we have a blue and an orange and a red and another kind of blue.
Yeah, the first blue was supposed to be green.
Blue? Okay, I see.
I don't think my printer does that color of green that's in the lure.
Well, that's okay, because fortunately,
I sent it to a print shop.
Here on the podcast, they can't see any of it, and it's got some really cool like fish head lures, and this looks really official.
Thank you.
Yeah. It says cherryredworld.com on the bottom, so you can go visit that and learn more. But so I see we have lures, reels, lines, and sweet spots.
That's right.
So, and these are all, and then below it, we have some different things that are on this tackle box, and I think we can define those along the way. Is that fair?
Yeah. So it's meant to be a checklist.
Yeah.
And people say, well, why do I need the things on the checklist? Well, if you look back at the color coding pieces at the top, you'll see, oh, okay, that's part of what's going to sell your product. And so it actually helps kind of educate people as they go through the tackle box and figure things out.
I really like that you have color coded these, actually, because it would be easy to make this checklist and then say, okay, like here, like the term lure is meant, you have that defined as sparking interest. Mm-hmm. I want to lure you into listening to what I have to say.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I got you to come in here today, right?
I know.
That was there we go. It was a lure.
I loved it.
So the reel, defining that as what will sell your product. So and hopefully I'm not stealing all your thunder here.
No.
The line is a way to contact your audience, and the sweet spot is where to find the fish.
That's right.
Yep.
So all
well defined, and I love the comparison here, because it's very easy to kind of get that.
Yeah, and typically when I'm working with a launch client or a brand new business, they know how to do whatever it is their business does. So I'm kind of like, well, I get that you don't understand what these things mean or why you need a brand definition or whatever. And so this kind of helps explain it.
Some of it too that I think that's important, and we're talking about marketing tips once again, is to get everyone on the same page. And so I'll let you lead in the first column here as a reel is pretty much where we've got to start our foundation, and that is
the brand definition. That's right. So
you know how many people can't define their brand, and I want to hear what your definition of brand definition is.
Okay, we can do that for sure.
Yeah.
So, I think that a lot of people, you're right, they cannot define their brand, what makes it different, what sets them apart, and truly who they are. Your brand definition should have a little bit of a story involved. As marketers, we're storytellers. That's what we're best at, or it's what we should be best at. And so, how do you define, who you are as a person? I always look at brand definition. I think there's two places you can go with brand definition. There's internal and external. And if they're working together, so internal would be the people that work at your business. How would they define, if somebody says, where do you work? And that person says, I work at X. I work at Sprint. Well, what do you do at Sprint? Well, we sell phones. Or, maybe we have the biggest network. What is the definition? What did you say? And
so it's easy to think that everyone would just intuitively know that. They won't.
That's
define
right.
it. Just control the narrative.
That's right.
At your business. Make it pretty clear, up front, because people inherently are not good at this.
Right.
Now, I don't mean brand definition. I mean this whole freaking list. Inherently aren't that great at it.
Right.
So, and the thing too is, so, and was there a second part? So you have the external.
So we have the internal, so the people that work there, what are they saying about it? And then external, we do a lot of research and we find out what other people think about your business. And if those definitions are they don't meet or mix or match, then we're not doing something right? So we need to go back, define the brand, and then that leads into some of these other things too.
So, all right. So if you're talking about starting new businesses, and I think that it's perfectly normal in the beginning for you to have overly verbose brand definition. I think that happens a lot.
It's normal.
But the goal should be to really refine it and make it short. So I go out and I talk to a lot of I do a lot. I'm around. You can find me in Kansas City at a whole lot of different things.
Right.
And obviously, when you're at some event for entrepreneurs or business, and it's very common, what do you do? And nothing drives me nuts more than when I'm on the third minute of listening to you try to explain what your business does. And
right.
So you got to really get it down short, sweet. We help, full scale. We help you build a team of remote developers, make it fast and easy.
Right.
It's that simple, And so then if when you're talking to someone, tell me more.
Yeah.
Now you have a license
you can dive
to talk
a
little bit more,
Yeah.
So but with your brand definition, keep it precise.
That's right. And people talk about elevator pitches all the time.
We save you money. That can be your brand definition in some
work.
regard. I'm just saying, that is better than blah, 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 blah,
right.
blah, 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 blah.
And I think it's natural when you start a business to start off really, really wide. Oh, no, we do everything for everyone. And just come on in and we'll help you. But that doesn't help you sell anything.
Right.
It doesn't lead into any of these other bits. And it doesn't help you get new clients.
So big mistake that people make when it comes to sales in general, marketing as well, is, all right, look, people only care about the benefits that your business or product or whatever it is you do offer. They don't care about your features.
Right.
Okay. Features are on the path to benefits. So benefit-based selling is what is going to make you sell stuff. I jokingly said, we save you money. That's way better than saying, we have a blah, blah, blah way to do this and do that and blah, 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 blah. Well, what does that do? That saves me money. Okay, that's a good place to start. You got my attention with I save you money. I always tell people, if you can explain quickly how you can help someone sell more, spend less, or do both, you'll win.
That's exactly
Good
right.
Good brand definition, right?
Yes,
okay.
That's wonderful. Well, and when people come, if you can draw somebody out to ask you a question based on what your brand definition is,
right,
then you're winning.
Right.
Right? Tell me more. Because if the person runs the other way, then you're,
well, or if
then
you,
it's too
or
long
if you numb them. Like, I mean, so let's be realistic. Like most people that are entrepreneurs, especially if you get in front of these like type A personalities, like and I'm not trying to sound shitty here, but if you have 10% of my attention, you did pretty well. My head's a mess like that. So you got to be precise, and you got to, it's a really short, the world has a really short attention span.
Yeah.
And you have seconds.
And getting shorter.
Yeah.
It's getting shorter,
what?
right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
Can I go next?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So that was a reel. The brand definition that's in the reel. So that will help you sell your product.
Right.
And that brand definition is like also like, what do you do? Like, so I'm going to keep using full scale because it's just easy. Like,
sure.
We really with scale, like full scale, like we can help you get your team to that full scale that you need to, and that, like that made sense. Now, does it make sense to everyone? I don't know. People ask me all the time. They're like, full scale, what does it do? I'm like, I might need to define my brand better. Okay, so next in line is a line, which is a way to contact your audience, and that will be your social media or online presence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's like a big one in a little tiny checkbox.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
And I think too many, well, and a lot of people don't get it.
Right.
And there's a lot of different ways. So like if you want to check out the podcast, go to @StartupHustle Podcast on Instagram, and we post pictures.
Right.
Our show producer was just in here taking pictures of us. You can see our beautiful red sign. You can see what Jenny looks like. You can see what I look like. You can watch us on YouTube. We're all over, man. So that's the whole point. But if you don't look like you're in the business of doing whatever you say you do, you lose credibility in a hurry.
That's true.
And it's funny you mentioned, you earlier said now you're down the road and you don't have a website. How do you even get down the road without a website?
Right.
And so with that, I'm actually going to bundle the next one in because I think they go
Love
together.
it.
Is that fair?
No,
So the
they
next
do.
one, next one in line is website, and
Right.
these things kind of tie together, and that's why I wanted to include that. So your website tells the story of what you do. It needs to going back to that, the TLDR, too long, didn't read. Like, don't be overly verbose. Like, tell me what you do right away.
That's right.
Like we say that on the full scale side. It's like you build remote development teams fast and affordably.
Right.
And, because that's it. That's what people are looking at. But with the social media and the online presence, like you got to make it look pro. This day and age of having 900 pages on your website is over.
Right. That's correct. We hardly ever build any website more than 8 pages.
Yeah. I mean, that's even sounds like a lot. Like on some levels it can be. So, and then keep in mind, the world is scrolling past you.
Right.
So that's where that short and sweet message occurs. Some other things too, when it comes to your online presence, do me a favor and the rest of the world and keep your personal opinions out of your business. Like you're not doing I'm just being honest with you. You're not doing yourself any favors. Like,
no.
I mean, just being honest. Like, I mean, we all have opinions. There's some phrases and sayings about that, but really in the end, like if you can do a lot of damage and harm to your online presence and your reputation. And like, I mean, here's the thing is that the idea that anybody has the exact same feelings that you do about religion, sex, or politics is wrong. So those are things that I generally try to always steer away from.
Right. Not
only in the workplace, but like online.
We always say that an online presence is also something that you would manage. Like in a business, are you going to manage your finances? Yes. Yeah. You're going to know exactly what they are, hopefully. You're going to be watching them trend up or down. Your online presence is exactly the same thing. Yeah. It's not something you throw to the wind and go, well, we'll see what happens later. I don't know.
And
whatever.
With it, we're talking about tips as well. Like, your postings are only going to get noticed if they're either creating some value, or you're entertaining, you're educating, you're helping someone get what they want. Like, right. You got to be really selfless about it. Like, there's so many people, and maybe I'm one of these people to someone else, but like. I mean, you'll wear people out. You'll numb people to your message, and that can happen pretty easily. So be aware of it. And then next in line, we have
messaging.
Wow.
Yay.
Wow. That's what, did you see how we did that, people?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're talking about, but what's your input on that one?
So with messaging, it falls out of your brand definition, but messaging is like what you want people to know about what it is you do, what you sell, and most importantly of all, the story. Like, it can be a short story. It can be 2 sentences long, but there's still got to be a story. Yeah. Like, my marketing taco box has a story. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, right? That's my story. Yeah. And that was the message that I gave you.
And you know what? This is presented well enough that I get it without needing to hear the story, too, which is part of messaging. Like, it's great if you want to tell me the story, but I get this. Like, I look at it, and I'm like, oh, I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah, your pictures, the things that you put out there, they have to tell that story to the right people, right? So also when you're thinking about messaging, you got to think about who's going to read it and who's going to care. Yeah. Right? I have a client right now that's selling granite countertops. We message to women alone. I'm not saying men don't buy countertops, because they do.
I mean, but really, like,
it's women.
Yeah, I get it, and that's smart. Like, it's okay.
So, like, if a man were to read the messaging that we put out there, they would be like, blah, blah, whatever, and scroll right past.
I'm laughing because there's always so much commotion and chaos about, like, I don't know, like, hey, in marketing, you want to be targeted. Like, you really do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and you really do. So, I mean, who is your message intended to be heard by? Or who's it best heard by? And so I have this term when it comes to messaging, and I use this a lot. I consider myself an expert at fact shaping.
Oh, and I like that.
Fact shaping, this is not fake news. This is not bullshit. This is not a lie. This is nothing other than your real, genuine, straight up message. There's an infinite number of ways that you can say, present, or convey any message. That means that many of them have to be much, 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 much better than others.
That's right.
So give that some thought. And this is not a right or wrong answer. It is an evolutionary process to the way you deliver your message. And keep shortening it. Keep making it more precise.
That's right.
Understand that different personality types will absorb that message differently. Yes. I mentioned earlier, like, it's hard to get my attention. It's because I'm type A, I'm driven. I just don't slow down a whole lot. You have like seconds. Otherwise, I'm literally in my head going, stop talking.
Right. I've got to go do something else.
That's my mind. Right? Yeah. That was my mind right now.
Yeah.
Not to you, but I say to other people, like, because, but get to the point. Now, if you have someone that's introverted and quiet, actually, those people do like to hear the details. They want to hear more about how the sausage is made.
Yeah. And if that's your target audience, great. Let's talk about the sausage and how it's made.
Shape your facts and shape your message accordingly.
And know where it's going. Yeah.
So this next one is I have made one.
You hate it.
No, I don't. On this next topic, on this next one on the list, I have made at least $1 million in life from that.
Really?
Without a doubt.
That's so awesome.
Without a doubt, and it's the blog.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I got a lot of history with the blog. And this is where Watson, if we should almost like go find him, because he's even better at this than I am. So Stackify's blog gets over 1 million visits a month.
That's fantastic.
Think about that. For free.
Wow.
For free. So you talk now.
Right.
Now Matt and I have a slightly different approach, but even some of my own software platforms are fully driven by nothing other than content marketing, and that's the blog. Mm-hmm. People talk about content marketing a lot. Now this is the definition of phishing, because you cannot do 2 articles and go, my content marketing didn't work. That is not how it works, people. It has to be steady, it has to be regular, and it has to be of quality.
That's right.
So you have 2 ways to approach your blog marketing. You can basically be very in-depth, and I'm talking like lengthy, well thought out, well crafted, well constructed, infographic included type articles. And those will work for certain approaches. And then you have the long tail approach, which is what I like to do. And I'm trying to get those things that I have a lot of articles, but I'm trying to get the ones that I know I'm going to win on low volume.
Oh,
so
nice.
I have a high volume of low volume search terms.
Right.
But there's something to be said about being first in those regards. So the blog is important. Check out the Full Scale blog if you want at fullscale.io. We do a lot of articles there. I think we just got that started earlier this year. I think we we get about 1,500 visits a day.
Nice.
That's free.
That's
it's free,
wonderful.
people. It's free.
Right.
Well, it's not totally free. We got to write the articles, but we have a team of writers that works at full scale.
Right.
So
I love it. And notice that it's not with the social media online presence and website. It's so important that it gets its own
different.
checkbox.
And here's the thing too, is a lot of people put a blog on their website, they publish one article and then they never come back. Just either do it or don't.
Right.
Take it off your website if you're not going to do anything.
All you have to do is hide the page if you're not going to use it.
Yeah, and it's really easy to do this stuff. And all right, so by the time this comes out, my third book will have come out. It's coming out on July 30th.
Tell me, what's it called?
It's The Realist Guide to a Successful Music Career. There's a copy of it sitting right there. But here's the thing is most people don't like writing. They don't.
Right.
There's people that can help you. We can even, full scale even, we employ writers. I would imagine some too, like whatever. So now, anyway.
I kicked off my whole career as a writer. I used to write book critiques for newspapers in the Midwest.
Newspapers, what are those?
I know, but they really weren't printed.
The blog is the modern day newspaper.
It truly is.
It's funny because any of the newspapers that do still publish content are really just blogs anymore. I
know.
Technically they are. They're like a website that's publishing new and relevant content.
Or pay-to-play native content, which, depending on your target.
So that was a line. That's a line. It's a way to contact your audience, and it can be really effective. But if you're not going to produce quality and you're not going to produce some quantity over time, the likelihood that it will work is pretty minimal.
Depending on what you want to make it do.
Yeah. I mean, you can still publish 10 or 15 decent articles, but the thing is Google if you have one article, your site isn't content rich, you don't have a lot of horsepower, you're just going to be buried.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you're next.
Collateral. So collateral is one of the things I find really fun, and I'll tell you why. Collateral is, I'm sure you know what it means, but it's like maybe your printed materials.
Yep, we're not talking about what you leveraged against the loan that you got.
Right. Marketing collateral.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a small business or a new business or somebody that's really excited and ready to go, you can make a lot of meaningful, inexpensive choices when it comes to collateral.
I feel like we're really good at this. We've got all kinds of stuff. One of the things you pointed out was the boxes.
Yeah.
That we ship stuff out to.
Yes.
And,
I got one.
Yeah, branded well. This costs $1.50 a box, worth every penny.
Absolutely. And your books are in it and a bunch of information and stickers and great stuff. Sure. Yeah. So
by the way, including the box, including all that, it's $7.
For the whole kit.
All of it. And then and that's even the shipping label.
See, that's perfect.
$7 is cheap.
And that's how collateral can work for you.
Yeah.
Like we even did a clear business card once for a window cleaning company. It was like 10 cents more than a regular card. And we rebranded them and their tagline was spotless every time. So we did a spotless business card. And that client has told me that business card has got them more business than anything else we did for them. The website, whatever, right? Like that one little tiny business card. So collateral is really important if you look at it from a really creative standpoint.
You know what drives me crazy is when I go places and especially when I'm at a thing related to business, and I ask for everybody's card. Yeah. Because I'm going to forget who you are when I'm talking to 100 people in a night. Like I'm going to forget who you are. So, and then people are like, well, I don't have one. How the fuck do you come to a networking event without a business card? Do you want to talk about collateral? People start there. Marketing tip 1, have a business card.
Just get a business card. They're really inexpensive.
Dude, they're cheap.
And people know who you are. Yeah. And they have amazing options for business cards now. It doesn't have to be a paper rectangle, right?
So one of the things is in regards to this podcast is I'm out doing stuff a lot and I run into people and they hear about it and they say, oh, what about it? Well, I know if I'm going to tell you it's Startup Hustle Podcast, you're going to forget. So we actually talk about collateral. We made these little square cards. They have the Startup Hustle logo on one side. When you flip it over, it's got a QR code.
Oh.
So and that QR code actually, when you click it, it then takes you to a simple directory. It says you want to listen on Apple, Spotify, Google.
Smart.
You want to watch it on YouTube and that stuff, because that's another thing too, is where are you directing that traffic with your collateral? So in regards to collateral, you need to clearly define your brand.
That's right.
You need to talk about how I can find you.
That's right.
Keep it simple.
Don't overdo it. That's right.
Yeah.
We once did a coupon for a lady that was going to put coupons in a bag with 100 other people's coupons. And we folded lotus flowers because her business is called the Teal Lotus. And so when you reach into your bag, there was a 3D coupon. It cost no more money to do that, So we are always trying to kind of figure that kind of thing out when it comes to collateral and ways to make an inexpensive impact.
Yeah.
I kind of butchered that. Inexpensive impact. So we talk about that all the time.
The same way the second
Did it
time.
really? I felt like I tripped over my tongue.
Well, I mean, it is hanging out, but I don't think it's that long.
Not
I mean,
that
come
long.
on. Okay.
So yeah.
Next, so collateral that's a real can help you sell your product.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, collateral. Look, now there's some things too, though. Actually, I'll kind of like, don't bore me with your pens. Do something, man. Just do something like relevant.
Or like a trifold brochure.
So one of the things that I enjoyed. So when I used to work for Roland. Yeah, it's a musical instrument manufacturer. I had these, they gave us some swag to give away. Probably one of the most popular things I ever had, and this was a long time ago. This was when people still had flip phones and phones were a little thicker. These little foam armchairs. They look like a little lounge chair.
It
was for your
phone?
desk, so you could put your phone in it and have it be on your desk.
Cute.
And when you picked it up, the Roland logo was across the back of it. It was just a little, it was tiny. But so many people asked for this, so let me tell you why that was great. Dude, it's literally sitting on someone's desk. Like they are staring at your brand. So my books, talk about books, like there's some intent there. Like you send someone a book. Well, I mean, I'm sure I've sent people books and they've thrown them away. Oh. But for the most part, there's something weird about just throwing away a book.
Right. People don't just typically toss a book.
Well, I go to people's offices or go to their business. I see them sitting around. Like all the stuff we send around. Like I go to our clients. They have Startup Hustle logos on their laptops. They have Full Scale. And like we made cool like the full. So for one of our marketing things with Full Scale is we do Sweet and Greet, which is our take on marketing.
One.
Yeah, they're fun, right?
They're so fun.
They're different, but we did a Full Scale logo, and it's got that like little rock fist with the two fingers, and it's like, yeah, but it's something different. Like, just do something different. Like, even if it's loud, like it's a loud world, so you have to be heard. So with that, we're going to talk about your logo. Now, oh man.
I know. We could have a whole podcast just talking about logos.
We could at the same time, so it's important, but man, on the same level, like move on at some point. Like make a decision and go with it. Because here's the reality is...
Can you come talk to my clients?
Your business is about... Okay, so if you look at certain, like, let's just say contest-based design things, you've seen them, they charge more for a logo than they will for a web page.
Which is crazy.
It's because people are stupid and way too particular. Now, it's important to have a good logo, but at the same time, yes, it can be your brand identity, but for most businesses, okay, I'm looking at cherry marketing, and there is a cherry inside the sea, like a literal cherry inside the sea of cherry marketing, and it's a cool logo. And past the cherry itself, I mean, honestly, Jenny, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's like almost normal, like fonts you could pull off of your regular computer.
Yeah.
A logo doesn't have to cost you thousands of dollars.
No.
It doesn't have to be anything like super swanky or some famous artist. It needs to be recognizable, and it should have something to do with what it is you're doing. That's truly it.
And you need to give some consideration about where it's going to fit. So
that's right.
So things and on website banners, on different things, you either have a circle or you have a square.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
And some, like my logo was a great example of a mark. So I have a full logo, which is what's on this, but we'll pull the C off and we call it just the C. Yeah. And we'll put just the C on all kinds of stuff, like your Full Scale rockin' sticker.
I get it.
I have a just the C sticker.
Yeah, and that'd be good. So
yeah, it works great.
So for example, like the Startup Hustle logo's round, that was intentional. Because it fits and like it fits,
you can make stickers.
It just fits in like the little circle that is your emoji. So logo, look, and now at the same time you can have a good one. There's a couple logo do and don'ts. Like people also try to get overly clever. Like if you're a new business, your logo doesn't mean shit. You have no brand identity. Like I mean, like I can see the Google G, and I know what that is.
Right.
Or the swoosh.
Yeah.
I get it. You're not
the
there.
Arrow and the FedEx.
You're not there, people. You're not there, people. So you got to like get your name in it and make it readable. I hate
recognizable.
I just hate it when things I'm like, what does that say? What does that even say? And don't be overly clever. Like,
and sometimes if you've got a logo and you've been in business a year and a half and you realize like you put it on the side of your car and no one can read it, it's time to just simplify it. Let's take it down a notch.
Yes.
Not good. Yeah.
Yes. And with that.
And that's Allure, by the way. That actually is that color.
Yeah. Well, what's next? Because this goes well with logo.
Yeah, it's also Allure, and it's the tagline. So a tagline.
I mean, we want to say something about our business?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's one of those things that people like just, like I once rebranded somebody called Simply the Best.
Sure.
And I was like, tell me what company wouldn't use that tagline, like sitting in the meeting with my clients. And they were like, oh, I guess everybody uses that, right? Or everybody could. Your tagline should be short. It should say something about what you are. And it should be something that goes well with your logo. Like sometimes you add it to your logo, right? So you want to think about those kinds of things. Like when I do a tagline for someone, I tell them it's going to be 8 words or less. Yeah. And that's 8 words is kind of a lot. I prefer 3 or 4.
Let me give you some themes. Better, cheaper, faster, save.
Right.
Improve.
Yeah, let's make it
peace
short.
Peace of mind.
Let's make it
benefit.
concise.
I mean, these are the things. Now at the same time that, okay, so I'm going to keep using full scale as an example. So, and now we're back to fact shaping. You can say cheaper, or you can say affordably. Affordably is a better term because we aren't doing things cheaper. We're doing them affordably, but there's nothing cheap. Like we employ experts. Like we go
cheap implies that you're not doing a great job.
Well, cheap implies like, hey, this might break in 5 minutes or something like that. So, like remember, it's back to the benefit. So what's the benefit of what your company does?
Right.
And
like my tagline is small business focused, big business results. That's what we do.
8 words.
No, it's not. It's 3. It's 6. Sorry.
Is it?
Yeah, small business.
I'm just giving you a hard time. So taglines. Well, we talked about this next one. So tagline is that a lure or a sweet spot? Because I'm colorblind on your list.
It's a lure.
Okay.
It's not a sweet spot. You don't usually find people in your tagline.
I'm just giving you hard.
I know you are. I'm sorry.
See, you said it wouldn't print green, but this fish up here at the top is green.
I know. I don't know what happened to my pretty color coding.
I don't know what we're going to do about this.
I know. You're going to have to kick me out.
I might have to shut the episode off.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we had taglines and all this stuff, and we're not going to spend too much time on this next one.
We already talked about it.
Which is business cards. Yeah. We talked about, look, just have some. All right, I'll give you a couple tips. I have a box of business cards in my car. Okay.
So do I.
I mean, just keep them in my car.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, because I get to places and I'm like, oh, I don't have them, but I do.
Right.
It's really easy when you go places and you network with people. Hand them. Don't make them ask.
Right.
You'll stand in front of me for like 15 seconds at any event before and that's the longest it'll probably take me to hand you my card. That's what you got them for. That's what you got them for.
But I also think really quickly, an important thing to know about business cards is that they are the one thing that you can just hand to somebody walking into a room that isn't weird. Like you can't walk in and be like, here's my pen. I'm Jenny. Nice to meet you. Yeah. That's bizarre. But you can easily hand somebody a business card. So take it kind of seriously. Like you don't need to spend 5 months on it. You can spend an hour on it.
Well, do take it seriously. Like this is actually one where I do think you can refine it, but at the same time, don't overthink it. Like, look, it should clearly state what you do. It shouldn't be difficult to figure out how to contact you. It doesn't have to be rocket science.
No, it doesn't.
At the same time, too, like if you do take some time to design it, like maybe consider what you're printing it on, like, and then maybe it doesn't matter. It depends. Like some business cards, like you mentioned, the glass company, like they're smart to spend a little more on that because it makes a statement and an image. And then some things like, I mean, there's restaurants in Manhattan that don't even have signs because they don't need it.
People know where they are.
Sometimes that can be the case too, but you got to figure out where you stand in that. Like, do you really stand out? But
I mean, it's a good place to stand out if you're trying to do it inexpensively. Yeah. Is a nice business card.
It's easy. Just have some. Please.
Just get the bulk size.
Oh, this next one, I want to charge it. Can I charge into this? Because I feel like
I would love it.
I want to like somewhat like on some level you can like almost be angry with people for not understanding. Who's your target audience? We mentioned that earlier, but like for real, like who are you trying to reach? Because with all right. So when I started GigaBook.com. I said, man, this is great. It'll appeal to everybody. I very quickly realized that was not a benefit.
Right.
It's too broad.
It's not going to help you sell it either.
So who are you looking for? And then you got to continue to refine that, and you got to refine it, and you got to refine it, you got to refine it, you got to do it again. Earlier you mentioned a company about countertops. Yeah. Look, if my wife is all over me about buying a countertop, I'm probably going to buy a countertop, Jenny.
Right.
It's good targeting.
Right.
I don't really care too much
Right.
about them. But if she's on it, and Jill, if you're listening, I don't want a countertop. But but the target audience, and like, who is that?
Right.
This is where it's fair to be be somewhat unfair. Like, we don't like, we're taught in the modern, well, not to put people in the, hey, you're in this group, it's men, it's women.
Right.
But I mean,
and that's
here's
a really
the thing, is
broad
like, who's
demographic.
your buyer? Yeah. By the way, the world is the megacorps of the world are collecting all your data and watching everything you do for this reason.
Exactly.
This is why Siri is at home listening.
That's right.
It is.
Every day. I know.
I turned her off.
You did?
Yeah.
My sister did too. I have mine on because I really like being able to talk to her.
I don't.
And my children can use her for whatever they want to
So
use
if you're
her
at
for.
home and you're listening and your Siri's on your phone, let me see if I can trigger it. Siri, define target audience. Do you think that worked?
I really hope so.
I really hope someone's Siri just said that. And if it did work, will you come tell us on Instagram? Because I'm going to do that more.
So one of the things we do with target audience really quickly, because this is fun. It's a fun exercise that I do with my clients. And that is we actually create a customer avatar. So we sit in a room and I
like that.
And so we talk about, like, what does this person do? What does she eat or he eat? What do they look like? And we create like the most detailed, in-depth target ever, right?
Yep.
Then we look for that target. And if it's big enough that'll support our business, then we're there. If not, we take off a couple details and we get to the right number in the right place. But creating your customer avatar is really, really, really important because at least you know.
So, all right. The world of startups, and honestly, in some levels, different types of entrepreneurship, very dude-centric. Like, stats just show it's like 80% guys.
Yeah.
So and I was giving shit earlier about the A/B comparison, but I did a little Instagram startup hustle ad. Way more engagement, way cheaper per click, all of it when I just did the ad towards dudes. But let me tell you why. That's because it was a more targeted audience that was like specific to the genre that I'm trying to reach.
Right.
And so with
it was like more dense, right?
Yeah, but that's why it was cheaper, because you're paying by the exposure. So
exactly.
Like defining your target audience, and I was just curious. And by the way, we did ads for both, but I was like, I wonder what would occur if we just did this. And it was because by not defining your target audience, you're just really kind of, you're directing your efforts, your energy, and your money into things that don't likely yield a whole lot.
That's right. You're truly just wasting it.
Well, it's even like kids. Like, I mean, there's if you're gonna sell something that kids want, well, I mean, that's once again, like, I would probably aim that not only at the kids but also at women. Right,
because the women are going to buy it, or at least they're going to be the ones that hear, "Mommy, I want this," or
this
whatever.
I don't buy my kids anything. I do, but I don't.
I don't believe you for a second.
I do, but I don't. Like, because I'm not running the household in that regard. I'm just an employee.
Jill does.
When I get home, I just work there.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm just like the guy there.
I take care of all that stuff in my house.
But that's like what that's just the dynamic I'm operating.
Gender roles. That's right.
Okay.
You wouldn't believe how many new business owners do not have a list of their services or products. Like, I bet 80% of the people I've sat down with, clients or people that don't end up being my client, that I'll say, okay, well, let me see your product list. And they do not have one.
I'll bounce.
It is a mess.
Bounce.
Write it down. You can change it later. It is not, stone tablets, it's not carved in stone. Just write down what you think your services are going to be.
Though. If you don't know what your products and services are and you can't accurately define that, like, dude, seriously.
Well, but let's say you're, okay, I'll use Cherry, right? Let's say you're a marketing agency.
Did I have a slightly terrified look on my face just now?
Bit.
Because, like, for real, like, when I think about that, I'm like, what are you doing?
Why?
What's your offering? Like, what do you do? And why isn't that very clear up front?
Those things are important.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think you have to have one. You have got to have a list of what it is you do. And it should be really well defined. What is it that you do? And then sort of how are you going to do it? You don't have to publish the house site if you don't want to, but you got to have a list. But let's say you're a company that offers like 30 different things. Maybe you're a document solutions company and you offer scanning and you offer shipping and all this stuff.
Give me like your top 5. if you're in that case. Like, I mean, not you personally, but like if you have that many offerings, like what's your core?
Right.
And then the
Start
rest
there.
is like, okay, and I want you people to think about the last time you saw a poster for a music festival.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the names on top and they clearly stand out. And then there's all the other names. They are smaller for a
fun.
reason, people,
Yeah.
like especially as you cascade down, because they are less important. So make your main things, your 3 to 5 or whatever, even if it's just one, like stand out. And then, by the way, we do this other stuff too.
You can even package that like as add-ons later on, right? So just make sure you've got some idea.
So differentiator, that's a big thing.
I know.
And this is hard. Like, what makes you different? Like, what makes you stand out? You're simply the best, or different things like, so like, and I've been using Full Scale as the example here. Like, we hire experts. Like, it's that simple. Like, I mean, expert developers, like, and we make it fast and easy for you to get in front of them. And by the way, that's tough to do. And that makes it, and so what's the differentiator between us and other companies that sell the services? It's me and Matt. Because I can sit here and tell you as an entrepreneur, when you're talking to me, I can say, Jenni, look, I've sat in your seat. I know what it's like to wake up at 2 a.m. and wonder if I'm going to go broke, if all the decisions I made were wrong, or if I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I've done it. And we, Matt and I took 10, in my case 10, in his case 15 years of experience of doing what our clients want to do or are already doing it. We tore pages out of our own playbook. We did it all.
Right.
And then we sit here all day and talk about it on this podcast.
And you still do.
Stuff. Well, that's a differentiator than something that's like, hey, I'm an online marketplace.
Right.
So here
we
you are.
sell shirts.
Or you go like, well, I mean, so here's the thing, and I've used it before, but like Upwork is something that a lot of people will find a programmer on. That's great if you like need one. What happens if things go well and now you need a team? Like, you're going to be throwing darts at a world map. And that's where your team is. You have no accountability. And like, these are the things. So like differentiator, like Full Scale, like you can build a team of expert developers within days in our office and deploy them. And they are there, like the word office, they're all there together. Like, they can work as a team. You're building something that lasts. You have accountability, like access, transparency. Like, that's not the case with certain other things. So like,
so that's a differentiator as well. Yeah.
Sure.
And it's really important to know what yours are, because I can sit in a room with 400 marketing people, right?
It's painful.
It is painful.
I bet it'd be really loud too.
It is
marketing
really
people
loud.
like really loud and chatty.
That's me too. Like, I'm totally a typical marketer.
I've learned to tone that down a little bit. It takes a level of self-control that I rarely have.
I don't know if I am ever going to have it. But I have to
Spend a
sit
lot
there
of
and
time.
figure out what makes me different than these other marketers, So it's really important, and it's hard. I still think about it. I've been in business 3 years, been in marketing 15. I still think about,
The differentiator, I mentioned my books earlier. So 3 of them, that's a differentiator. That's why I wrote. So I wrote.
It definitely sets you apart.
I wrote 2 books at the same time, and they both came out within 3 months. And people they were like, "Well, why'd you write 2 books?" I literally said, "Because lots of people have written one." Like, there was intent with that. Like, I mean, a lot of people.
That's a great answer.
But it's true. That's exactly why I did 2 of them, because so many people do one and they never visit it, and now all of a sudden you look back and like. So this next book I have coming out, it's a little different. It's about the music industry. I worked in the music industry for 8 years. I don't have the kind of input that my co-authors have. They're like, they're rock stars.
Right.
Well, and that's fine, but with that you can continue. You differentiate.
There you go. You got it that time.
From yourself a little bit, and like even the podcast does that for us too. Like, you become you can establish yourself as a subject matter expert. So we've been talking about marketing and branding, but your personal brand is part of it too.
Oh yeah.
That's always where it starts for me.
We talk about that all the time in brand definition.
Yeah.
Because if you're online screaming at people about politics, then that is incongruous with what your actual brand is of your business. We got to fix that. We got to change it. Mm-hmm.
That's hard for some people.
I know it is. But we'll go out and I'll take over someone's account and be like, I'm going to fix this for you.
I literally will unfollow you if you are talking. I don't care. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
Right.
in religion or politics. Like, I don't want to hear it. I'm not on social media to like get into that with you. Like, do it on your own.
There's lots of fun things on social media.
Yeah.
And that's not one of them.
And and some other things too is with that same message, and we don't have to go back to that, is like being combative.
Right.
Take ownership, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
Okay. No, man, this next part's going to freak people out.
This is the part that everybody forgets. So everybody knows you need a logo.
But wait, we came up with this great plan and we did all this stuff, and I got this tackle box.
And all my things are checked off.
I got my bobbers, I got worms. We had the guy that invented the fishing caddy in yesterday. We'll see if this comes out before or after. But his like whole business is built around like the tackle box and also having it be a nice seat for you to sit on when you're fishing.
Oh.
But yeah, so we got all this stuff together, but what do we do? Should we go fishing?
I feel like we should.
Oh, cool.
Let's get our hats and our vests and
the implementation plan.
That's right.
Okay, look, this podcast is always about keeping it real. All right, I've done a lot of stuff. This is a challenge, even for experienced people. We've talked about that. We try to be very open and candid with ourselves, and it's easy to get busy and you forget to implement. And we have a pretty small staff here for Full Scale US, and we've talked, in our meetings, we're like, God, we have A+ ideas and C execution, and that sucks. That's a crappy feeling.
Yes.
So what's your plan? How are you going to implement it? And then here's the thing, start it. Right. Just do something.
It's going to be painful.
Yeah, I mean,
the first few things you do are always a little bit painful in a new business.
It doesn't always have to be, though. Like, these things are like also about, like they say, if you're going to eat an elephant, you do it one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Start with the tail. But look, start taking bites. Like in my book, Balance Me, I talk about reverse engineering success.
Cool.
Where you want to be, and let's go backwards. Let's figure out all the things that probably need to occur on your way to get. This isn't just about business. This is about whatever.
Life.
So now we got to go backwards, and now all of a sudden the thing is I'm making this like motion of like a pyramid because it fans out, and there's a whole lot of different stuff.
Yes.
These things aren't all just done like all at once. Like, it's about just kind of keeping at it.
Right.
Am I right?
And implementing is scary. It can be scary to start with for a smaller business or a new business.
Yeah.
Because
throw the next piece in there, because this is a big part of implementation.
That's right. And it's one of the things that we realize, like, it has to be part of it. And it's scheduling. It's connecting all the dots.
Yeah.
So you create a plan and you're like, yes, we have this beautiful plan. It's a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and these are the results, and we have measurables and everything. But then what do we do, and when and where and how? And so we create a true calendar that we give to our clients that sticks up on the wall, and then they can go through and go, oh, today we're going to do a content post online about, this new version of countertop, or whoever's, whatever they're marketing. But the schedule helps keep that implementation plan like in place.
Schedules are only good if you stick to them.
Mm-hmm. They really are.
It's hard, but it is hard too, because as a business owner, I often compare myself to someone that's spinning plates on the end of poles, and sometimes you have to run, or a fire starts or whatever. A little scheduling tip is leave yourself some room. Don't book your shit.
That's a good
solid,
tip.
like wall to wall, because things are always going to take a little longer, or things go wrong, or other things come up. So give yourself a little buffer.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Blah 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 blah.
All that stuff. I've actually told some clients, like, set aside an hour a day just for a little bit to do your marketing.
You do it just a little bit, but look, nothing. People are like, but I have so many problems in my business. You know what? Sales cures ails.
Yeah.
Like, you will be shocked at how little you are concerned with when it comes to other stuff if you're selling a ton of stuff.
No doubt.
I mean, literally,
it's all going to figure itself out.
If you're selling.
If you're selling,
if
right.
You're not
it's
selling, it's going to figure itself out in a way that you probably don't want to figure out.
That's right.
All right. So I'm going to do real rapid fire here.
Okay.
Brand definition, social media and online presence, your website, the messaging, your blog, your marketing collateral, your logo, your tagline, your business cards, your target audience, your products, your services, having descriptions and differentiators, having a plan, scheduling to do it, and going to cherryredworld.com when you realize that might seem like a little much, because I think your business helps people with that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of speaking engagements about the marketing tackle box. So maybe
they can find you.
Maybe I'll see you. They can
find you.
They can find me at events and stuff to talk about it.
By the way, this is like, so everything we went through theoretically is kind of like 100 level on the surface.
That's right.
Get
It is.
into a little bit more. There's a lot more complexity under the layers of each section, but this is a good list.
It's a great place to
It's
start.
a good place to start.
It's where I start with all people that are overwhelmed, right?
Yep.
And then the implementation plan and the schedule, that's where a lot of that more detailed marketing falls out.
So
we do a lot of that
You mentioned
too.
the phrase overwhelmed, and people are saying, I'm feeling overwhelmed with all these things that I need to do. Hey, look, no one does this list that we just mentioned. No one simultaneously puts an X in every single box.
Right.
Like, it's a checklist, people. Work your way down it.
Right.
Get started. So once again, Jenni, thank you so much for coming in.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
It goes fast.
Does go
It's
fast.
almost been an hour.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I could talk about this all day. And
So
that's
could I.
That's why I tried to keep it moving, because I'm like, next thing you know, this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4. It'd be like a 12 episode.
It could be.
So it could, I mean, just keep going and going
Yeah.
and going. But I think Marketing Tips is a great thing to revisit. If you guys want to check us out, you can go to @StartupHustle Podcast on Instagram. Come check us out on YouTube. We got a YouTube channel. If you want to see what we're doing here in the studio and you want to see our lovely faces, I know that mine is made for radio. But with that, we're on YouTube now. We finally caught up and have posted a whole bunch of old episodes.
Oh, cool.
They're out there. If you want to see what we look like and get some links to the stuff that we do, stop on by. See you next time.